Cold Denial's an interesting pulse rifle that came out about a year ago with Season of Arrivals, just before Beyond Light was released. And this was kind of a hot pulse rifle. We ended up getting a version in the Season Pass that wasn't really that exciting. And what's interesting now is people are telling me they don't really like it. It's kind of trash. So I wonder, how does a pulse rifle go from really good and shredding in PvP to trash? And I think the secret is that you can't really farm it anymore like you used to be able to. And I think a lot of us just didn't really know what to go for with this gun. Only recently did I start thinking about how I could actually make this gun feel good. And we got a little lucky because, well, it's carried a lot by both Xur and Banshee. And I've got almost the god roll. Almost. It kind of hurts. I'm almost there. So we're going to go over this gun today and a couple of things I tried. And what you should go for if you want to make this feel good. Now, I will say, I'm going to preface this by saying, yes, I use a trackball mouse. People are like, well, what's that? It's a trackball mouse. You can Google it. But it does put me at a bit of a disadvantage. And one of the reasons why I always avoided this gun is because it doesn't come with full auto trigger. Bungie recently released a new weapon mod called Full Auto Retrofit. You can go all the way to the end of your mods and you'll find it right there. And this made this gun a little bit more accessible to me, but that doesn't mean that I still don't have to find a great roll. And this particular gun contains two things that I think are absolutely necessary to make this feel good. First of all, we have Feeding Frenzy. So each rapid hit with this weapon progressively increases reload speed for a short time. I typically go with Feeding Frenzy on SMGs and things that I'm going to do a lot of ad clearing with. It just makes sense because you get those super rapid reloads. But there's really not much available on this gun in this column to really get me excited. Here, I'll show you what we have. So if we visit d2gunsmith.com, I've picked out my god roll here. And Feeding Frenzy, you can get Killing Wind on this thing. I just have never met a gun I like that has Killing Wind. On paper, it looks really good. Final blows grant increased mobility, weapon range, and handling for a short duration. And I found that adding handling to this gun certainly helps. But when it comes to how a weapon feels, I don't like things like handling to be attached to that. And Killing Wind is really an unreliable perk in that you got to get final blows to increase the handling. Now, Surplus is a perk that I avoided for a very long time because, again, it relies on whether or not you have abilities charged. But with something like a pulse rifle that I'm going to be using at longer range, when I'm using a pulse rifle, I'm probably not really using my abilities much. So I'm going to have them all filled up. And when you have all full abilities with Surplus, it's ridiculous how good that feels. So I highly recommend that on long-range weapons when you're not spamming your abilities. But for this gun, Feeding Frenzy all the way. You will get kills with this thing. This gun feels great with the right barrel on it. The barrel really makes this gun. And Feeding Frenzy will definitely, it'll be there for you all the time. So you've got two top tier damage perks. You've got Swashbuckler, which I really love. It's kind of like the new Rampage. This weapon gains increased damage from melee kills and kills with this weapon. Duration lasts 4.5 seconds. And when you get Swash times 5, you get 33.3% damage increase. And it's not hard to do. Like, especially if you're on my favorite Swatch character, a Stasis Hunter. You chuck out that shuriken, and you're going to get those kills and get Swash times 5 immediately. It's just too easy. But we've got a duration of 4.5 seconds, and we need to talk about this timer. We do. The other damage perk we have is Multi-Kill Clip. This just blows Swashbuckler out of the water. Reloading grants increased damage based on the number of rapid kills made beforehand. And with multi-kill times 2, you get the Swash damage buff. It's equal to Swash, it's 33%. If you get 3 times, it's 50%, which is stupid. So if you're doing a lot of long-range ad clearing, you're going to get way more damage with multi-kill. It's going to be way more lethal against enemies. Now, Okay, so reloading grants increased damage based on the number of rapid kills made beforehand. It has a duration of 5 seconds. So we have a half a second longer to find something before we lose that timer. And this is where it's challenging. I wish we had Rampage on this gun because that lasts longer, but Swashbuckler and Multi-Kill, if you're doing like long range fighting and you have ads that are hiding behind rocks and walls, chances are pretty high you're going to lose your buff before you see them again. If you have to move forward to get a new position, you're going to lose your buff. The timer will run out. You will no longer have your damage perk by the time you see that enemy. If you're from a distance shooting mobs of enemies, multi-kill clip is way better than it's better than Swashbuckler anyway. Look, it lasts longer. It simply lasts longer. The advantage Swashbuckler has over multi-kill is it's way easier to proc. I mean, all you have to do is get kills or melee kills, and boom, you're good. Either way, you got to get kills with it, though. So, I just, multi-kill, I still think it's the better choice here. Alright, so now that we've talked about these two columns and we've settled on Feeding Frenzy and multi-kill clip, we have our barrel. And I have a couple of these that I've tested. Now, the original one that we all played with came with small bore. Target acquisition with small bore is not really that good. Now this gives you a stability and a range buff. And we want range for sure. You don't need range. I mean, I was getting kills with this without range because I don't have the mag that I need right now. But it's got pretty good range just in and of itself. But you need handling on this thing. I found that with Corkscrew, which it has +4 stability and +5 range, so it's a little less than what small bore has. It also gives you +4 handling. I can't remember what small bore feels like. I deleted it a while ago, but I can tell you that handling makes a huge difference. So I can only imagine how bad small bore feels. But it's got the stability and range. Corkscrew, I think, is a really good middle road all-round barrel. If you're not getting guns with good drops, Corkscrew is usually a really good one to fall back on. Just because it has the buffet of flavors right here. You've got stability, range, and handling. It's hard to go wrong with it. But I slapped on Fluted Barrel today, and we got rid of our range. So we went from +4 or +5 range down to no added range. And then we went from +4 handling up to +13 handling. So we added 9 handling. Guys, this made a massive difference. And maybe that's why I don't remember the difference between Corkscrew and small bore, because the difference between Corkscrew and small bore is only +4 handling. But Fluted, +9. That's the difference. And the target acquisition, I'm telling you, way better. Way better. This gun feels so good with Fluted. So then we go into this column. Now, a lot of people like high cal rounds for PvP. I'll tell you right now, for a lot of guns, if I can have high cal and ricochet on it, I've got like the best mag ever, because there is a place for high cal. And if you're going against Guardians, what's nice about high cal is it does do some knockback. It knocks them back a little bit, so it can cause some flinching, and that's why a lot of people like this for PvP. It's also great against ogres. It gives you +5 range. It's pretty simple. With ricochet rounds, though, you get added stability, and I didn't really notice too much of a difference with stability on here. So like we don't have a stability. Well, we have a +4 stability here, +4 stability there. Honestly, oh, and with small bore we have +6 stability. Stability really wasn't an issue on this gun. It's mostly the handling. Handling is what made the difference. So the +9 stability isn't too big of a deal, but ricochet, it's still a top tier perk. I tend to favor this over high cal, but honestly, if I got high cal on this gun, I would have no problem with it. Another mag people have been choosing is Flared Magwell. Now, what I like about Flared Magwell is it's a good secondary mag. If you can't get the mag you want, this is really good for reload speed. This increases stability. We don't really need stability added to this gun. It's not the issue. Again, it's handling we need to focus on. And since I have Feeding Frenzy, I was like, why am I using... I don't really need Flared Magwell with Feeding Frenzy, so I decided to go with Extended Mag on this roll. Again, I'd rather have Ricochet. We have almost the God roll. I just don't have Ricochet. And I'll tell you, if I never get Ricochet, it's not going to be a big deal. Because this and this really make this gun. And this is the best perk you're going to... I mean, it's just the best you're going to get in this column. And in the right situation, this roll is going to serve you great. Now, what's cool about Extended Mag... Now, this usually seriously punishes you on reload. And I hate slow reloads. Any god roll I give you is not going to be a slow reloading weapon. Or if it is slow reloading, it's going to be in a situation where reload isn't too big of a deal. So I had flared Magwell, and if you look, in the mag, you only have 27. And I popped on Extended Mag just to see. It gave me 9 additional ammo in the mag. I went from 27 to 36. Now, if you're reloading the weapon a lot, and you probably are a chronic reloader, I think most of us are, and you have to reload to proc multi-kill, you're not going to have, it's not going to be too big of a deal having an extra 9 in the mag. However, there are going to be situations where you don't want to reload. And if you're using this against champions, Extended Mag, that plus 9 in the mag, that's kind of a useful perk. So let's talk about the Masterwork. Now, this has stability. The only reason I Masterworked this is because I'm not sure if I'm going to get a roll even close to this good anytime soon. And I decided to Masterwork it just so when it's sitting in my vault, I know that this is the gold standard that I need to compare all the other ones to. And I just looking at the mags, I know, just knowing myself, that this is what needs to be replaced. Like, this isn't really what I want on this gun. So that was just a placeholder for me. Hey, I'm marking this gun and I'm locking it because I'm saving this for now. Now, the other ones you have is reload. This doesn't need a reload Masterwork. The reload on this gun is fine, especially with this baby right here. I want range on this. This is a pulse rifle. This is a pulse rifle you could totally use in endgame content. You could use it in GM Nightfalls, no problem. And if that's the case, you want range. Because more often than not in GM Nightfalls, if I'm using a pulse rifle, I'm going for some crazy long shots. And a range Masterwork is exactly what you need here. It's also another reason why you want Ricochet, because it's going to give you that range buff. Now, this is a high impact frame pulse rifle, slow firing and high damage. That's true, it is a high damage pulse rifle. It's actually quite good. This weapon is more accurate when stationary and aiming down sights, and that's fine. Again, with pulse rifles, I'm usually going to be aiming down sights with this thing. And if I'm out moving around and being aggressive, I'm going to be rocking something else like an SMG or a shotgun.
If you'd like to support this channel, liking and commenting on the videos tells YouTube to share these videos with others who may find them useful. If you'd like to provide monetary support to help keep this channel up and running, visit my locals and subscribe star communities.